morning. I'm Hannah, this is Sweet Fern Homestead, and today we're going to go on a garden walk mid-June, I think exactly mid-June, and just see what's happening. This is one of the most special times in the garden in zone 6A where I am. Before I take you on the tour, I wanted to just say that the other day on Instagram I posted that I had hit 400 followers on YouTube, and I was very shy about it and kind of was like, should I do this? But I'm trying to be a little bit more out there, and I just had such a beautiful response. The messages that you sent and the words of kindness and encouragement meant the world to me. And I wanted to specifically thank 3 people. Carrie from My Wool Mitten, who invited on her YouTube channel her followers to come over here and to say hello, and quite a few of you are from Carrie's suggestion and sweet, kind words, and so I just wanted to say thank you. I will link all of these people below too. And the second one is Kathy from Sacred Rebel Soul, who has just been the most amazing supporter of this channel. Every time I'm feeling like, should I keep going? She's basically saying, yes, you should. So thank you for sharing about my channel. Thank you for all your kind words. And finally, Mindy from Life Goes North, who is an incredible inspiration to me, who I will link down below. She's an incredible resource. She shares such beautiful information and story and just parts of her life. And she was kind enough to share with her Instagram followers about my channel. So some of you are also from Life Goes North, and I wanted to say hi and thank you, Mindy. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you, Carrie. Thank you, everyone else who is helping me spread the word, and mostly just saying, you can do this, keep going, because YouTube is a lot of work. For those of you who do YouTube, you know, and a lot of us are not getting paid for this, and we're doing it anyway, because it matters. So right now I am standing under my arch trellis that you can see is pretty successfully now growing the peas. So this is what it looks like when you're standing at the tunnel. It hasn't fully come to the top yet. I've got things underplanted, so this whole area will be a part shade area where I can grow foods that don't mind that. I did end up popping a squash in here just because I had some space. These peas weren't doing great anyway. Here's a beautiful pea. Look at that. So I've got arugula, got some perpetual spinach, the last of our lettuce, and then I have some beans growing at the end. So when you come to the arch, I've got to take that blue tag off, but that's an old blueberry bush that's all dried up. I'm going to use that to help these heirloom Painted Lady runner beans grow up along the outside edges. This was kind of a last minute decision because the bunnies are eating them where I had originally planted them. So I think it'll be really, really pretty and magical to have that beautiful, like, kind of orangey white flower growing up along. We'll have the peas for a short amount of time, and then those will switch probably to cow peas, cucumbers. I do have some cucumbers already planted, getting started. Beans are in here. And if you see that, like, that weird stuff moving and shining, we put those, it's like a tape that's supposed to help keep things away from, in this case, our strawberries. I don't know if it'll be very successful or not, but we have tried it. Okay, we have to harvest this one. Most of our strawberries this year are coming from Langwater Farm, a local organic farm, and we have a lot of them. Most of them are frozen. So peas. I find once the weather gets warmer, you're not getting a very sweet pea, regardless of what you plant. It's delicious. It's not what you kind of think of that taste of like that first spring, sweet spring peas. But they're good. It's a wonderful crop to grow. The earlier you could get it in, the better. We just had ridiculously warm temperatures early this year. So there is what we think is a black racer snake living right outside this fence. And every time I come out, I hear it slither away into those bushes. It totally freaks me out. I'm not thrilled about it, but they tell me that it will keep the chipmunks away. Oh, here, I'll show you. This tape is not working. So whoever ate that strawberry could care less about that tape. I didn't think so. It's ugly and I'll probably take it down now. But we wanted to just try it out. So anyway, this snake, my family's thrilled. I'm not thrilled. I imagine it like eating my chicken. The sweet potatoes have finally started to do a little something. I was feeling a bit concerned about them, but they're doing better. There's some other potatoes are mixed in, and those just self-seeded from other years. This one row of our tomatoes and onions is not the best row in our garden, and it will probably need to be planted just with like a ton of bush beans or something at some point, maybe potatoes to work the soil underneath if that's the problem, if it's just too compacted. When we did soil testing, everything looks fine. I just think that this row is just really, really tight, and you'll see the difference in the other onions that were planted right about the same time. So at the end, things are actually doing better. And again, I can't quite explain that. As we go down, it gets worse and worse. So I kind of have to think through why that might be happening. See here, the squash has finally started to grab on to the trellis. So it will be starting its climb up and over. I am happy with how this squash bed looks. I was worried about the sun, but everything is looking just fine. The celery is doing great. Oh, do you want to see a baby kohlrabi? I've never successfully grown kohlrabi, so I wasn't really sure what to expect. Isn't that cute? Over here, celery central is looking beautiful. This row of celery has a ton of things planted in it as well. It's got peppers, it's got eggplant, there's marigolds, there's sunflowers, there's these beautiful bachelor buttons. These are just stunning. I'm incredibly happy with how those are looking. And then you'll be able to see here, so you can just tell the difference in the tomatoes and the onions over here. They're huge, all planted at the same time. So there is something going on in that row over there, and we'll just have to kind of amend it over time. This was a sunflower that I transplanted. It was a volunteer. It looks okay on the top. It didn't like the transplanting, as you can see. So I may have to just pull a couple of these leaves off. And but I think it'll pop back really nicely. So going down, the rhubarb is looking incredible. I have turnips for the first time. Do you want to see my turnips? After the rains came, the rhubarb just took off. You're not supposed to harvest this in the first year, but I took one piece from each plant. Probably not even each plant, because I haven't touched the ones that are smaller yet, but I did take one from each of the bigger ones. And my turnips are down here, and if you look really closely, you can see the white of the turnip down there. I had those for breakfast the other day with scrambled eggs, and they were delicious, even though I overcooked them. This is a hollyhock planted at the end. I like to put a flower at the end of each row, and you can see the onions are really doing beautifully. Now I am concerned because the garlic seems to have white rot, and if it came from the compost, then that means we probably are going to experience it in the onions as well, and it will mean that the entire garden is contaminated. I'm hoping that that's not the case. I'm hoping it was just some bad garlic that I put in that only contaminated these garden beds. But if it was from the compost, then it's everywhere. And I'll have the same issue with the onions that I do the garlic. At some point they're going to start to yellow and fall over. So I am keeping a very close eye on these. Here's fennel. Parsley, which definitely needs to be harvested. I kind of lost track of that. The fennel's looking gorgeous. More onions. A borage that's self-seeded. Some lettuce that I just tucked in here because some of the onions didn't make it. This chard is going to seed, and I'm going to let that happen and see if I can collect seeds because that's one of my favorite vegetables to have. More fennel and the onion. Now it's interesting because some of these onions have started to bulb up. You can see here. So again, just kind of staying curious. This is only the second year of this garden, so staying very curious about its growth and its patterns, what it likes, what it doesn't like. And then this area is like the most diverse area. We have strawberries, asparagus, peas, gooseberries, tomatillas, grapes, regular tomatoes, blueberries, peppers, beans, potatoes. If it could go in here, I put it in here. So this was originally supposed to be blueberries. You can see the one blueberry plant that made it, and the rest died. So I just went crazy and planted anything I could get my hands on that was a little bit extra and needed space. And that worked really well because, quite honestly, it would have been tough to fit all this stuff in somewhere else. The cucumbers are back here. They're doing really well. Last year we couldn't grow a cucumber because of cucumber beetle. This year it's doing well. So I did a little experiment over here. I have potatoes just tucked in because this soil is so hard. And I thought that would help break it up quite a bit. And then I've also got some cucumbers that are taking the places where the peas didn't really do very well. And we've got hollyhocks. Then we've got some more lettuce, hollyhock, zinnias. Again, just playing with diversity, trying to understand, trying to use the principles of permaculture, of just having a really beautifully diverse system that likes to take care of itself. So if I have potatoes here, and I have cucumbers, and I have lettuce, and I have hollyhocks, I'm not going to have as many weeds. And I've also got something growing as a vine, as a flower, and then as a root. So it's creating 3 beautiful layers right now. Okay, so you can see this little weird tape that we put up is not working. We'll have to do some sort of netting next year. But somebody's enjoying them, and we were able to get strawberries, so that is just fine. So there's a definite calm and a magic that's felt in this garden right now, because it's just like, it's like the before, right? It's like the eve. You know what's about to come. But also we're harvesting an incredible amount of food from this garden right now. You can see under here, this entire row of brassicas soon will be done. And I will probably plant this entire row with carrots. When this brassica row is done back here, I will probably plant that with more potatoes. And then when the fava beans are done, which are right across from the brassicas here, I will probably be doing Brussels sprouts. So my friend Carrie over at My Wool Mitten, you can find her on YouTube, suggested that she and I do a little Brussels sprout experiment together. We're gonna plant fall Brussels sprouts, and we're starting them in June. So I'm starting mine inside in modules, and then I will be planting them out most likely into that fava bean row. I will probably have to use the row cover because they are brassicas, and we have trouble with the moths here that lay their eggs, and then you get those little yucky worms. So I'm excited about that. If you've never grown Brussels sprouts, you can stay tuned for that because neither have I. So Carrie, thank you for the inspiration. Thank you for all your support. I'm excited to go on that little journey with you. Here we've got sage and lettuce. I think I tried this lettuce yesterday and it was bitter, so that will probably go to the chicken. This one I think we're still good to eat. I've got a cucumber tucked back here, more cucumbers here. I have a valerian here, which is absolutely stunning as it flowers. This probably should have gone in the cottage garden. It matches those colors. And then amaranth right here. So this is a nice little section. It's really beautiful. And then again, this lettuce will come out and other things will take its place. And then I wanted to show you, this is the first head of iceberg lettuce I have ever successfully grown. I'm super excited about it. We'll harvest that soon. There's leeks behind it. This looks like a radish that's going to seed that I will happily allow to do so. The bees love it. More lettuce to harvest, another iceberg, more sage, straw flowers. These flowers have just been gorgeous. This is the Tong Ho big leaf. We talk about it all the time. I think everybody should grow it. It's stunning. I really like these borders that I made along the edge of the garden. I love just putting as many different things in as I can. That will be fun to play with all summer long. Got a little parsley tucked in there. Amaranth. More parsley, more lettuce. And then lots of asparagus growing down here with a bunch of other things kind of helping along. Lettuce and beautiful flowers. These were the flowers that I thought got killed by the frost, but they came back. They did it. I think those are ground cherries back there, and I'm pretty sure I planted them back there because I wasn't sure where else to put them and I needed them to get started growing, but I don't believe I'm gonna leave them there. Lots of lettuce. Here's the runner bean that the rabbits were eating. You can see why I moved it. The asparagus. More flowers. More asparagus. Straw flower. So this asparagus I had forgotten to plant and I thought it was dead, but I tucked it in this tray and I watered it. And now you can see exactly how asparagus is growing underneath the soil. That's the crown. And the asparagus just comes right up out of the crown. So I will definitely be getting that guy in the ground. My calendula is stunning already. Kale, fava beans. So that's one of the things I wanted to show you. Was since the garden tour a couple weeks ago, we did not have these pods, and now there's tons of pods despite how many aphids we have had. So every gardener has like their favorite spots in their garden, and this is one of mine this year where this white and sort of pinkish medicinal yarrow is growing. There's some snapdragons underneath it which haven't bloomed yet, and then right behind it you can see the cottage garden, the picnic tables back there, the coop. This is one of my favorite little spots. I don't know if this will show on camera, but there is a slight pink to this yarrow. This is the medicinal yarrow, so I will be drying some of this for oils and for teas, and the leaves for styptic powder. It's better to grab the leaves off of yarrow before it blooms, but you can certainly use them at any time. So if I'm gonna grab leaves, I'll probably grab it off of this younger one here, or any of the younger ones that pop up after that. This is a native plant. It is absolutely stunning. It probably will spread and take over this entire section, which I am so thrilled for it to do. We've got the first little sweet pea. Isn't that pretty? And then the last iris is blooming out in the iris garden. So I'll just stand back. I've mentioned before that beauty is kind of my number one. I need to be in beautiful spaces. I want this to feel like an extension of my home. This is a place where I can come sit with a cup of tea. It's a place where I log a lot of hours, so I want it to feel like the most magical, beautiful room I could step into, that provides for me, that feeds me, that gives me medicine, that brings me joy. I have to show you the beautiful Foxtel Lilies before I keep talking. They're stunning. Even when there are disappointments, like my worries about the garlic right now having white rot and potentially needing to like change course on that, we just take a minute to look around, to see what's right in front of us, to see what is working really well and being really beautiful, to see the beauty, to see the magic, and just say, wow, like I did this. The earth, Sacred Mother, and we did this. Now I'll talk more about permaculture in another video separately. Like I'll share kind of the principles and the things that I'm thinking about. This is more of like a visual tour, so you can kind of get the idea. But I wanted to show you basically that I don't follow one sort of system or principle of gardening. I mix and match so many different things and explore them. So modified Ruth Stout, market gardening, companion planting, not so much for the foods that work together, but for the space. How many foods can I grow in one area? There's a huge amount of diversity. There's some food forest principles. And so I just mix it all together like a big snow globe, and this is what happens. Thank you for joining me in the garden. Thank you for all your supportive words, for your encouragement. I am blessed by you all. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you.